Okay, let's get on with our logout item in the menu here. We've logged in, we have a user account here, and we're going to have to log out. That's going to be one of the things we want to do, so we've got to make that little menu. Now, we did have a bug previously that we must fix, and I like to leave these errors in here. If I go to prototype, I've created a new starting point here with the word home. That's easy to do. You just choose the frame, flow starting point, give it a name, and now you can always start from this point. So if I press play, you'll see our icon is also black on black. And why is that? Well, that's because we did go back to design here. We didn't style, when we styled our hover states, we didn't add all of the contents here. So the contents that we didn't see when we styled it are still black. Let's change the color token to be the same as our text in both icons. I want them to be exactly the same. You might not want it to be exactly the same, so you'll need a different token. And let's just switch them off again for now for simplicity. Let's control var our pip. You need to do the same for all of these. We would have done the same here. In this case, it's still black, so it's okay. This one we will have to fix. Inside the pip, the icons will be wrong color. Okay, so we want them to be color icon text or whatever your preferred token is, but I'm going to make them the same here. I'll just switch those off again. Okay, so now if we go back to our home screen, go to the prototype, let's play, and you'll see now it works. Okay, so we fixed that, and now we're going to make a little menu. So we're going to have to create a new component. So let's go up to our components. Here we're going to add a new item. We're going to call it MenuItem. I have to drag this back up into, let's put it under the input. So create ourselves a little artboard for the docs, call it MenuItem. Oops, keyboard issues. Okay, now we've got to create what the item in the menu is going to look like. Then we're going to create the menu. So we're going to use our pip as previous. So let's go and grab our pip for starters. Right. So now this is going to be the basis of most of our atomic components. That gives us that level of control. That's why this is the pip's design system. This is a special exercise we're doing in this course. Okay, we've got our pip. We're going to have to wrap that in a new component, which we're going to rename. You can do that here, or you could do it here to menu. And I'm going to add my brackets for convention here. So this is menu item. And the menu item, now this is our default menu item. So this will be our default state here. And we'll add more later. Let's just add the docs header for now. We're going to come back and fix all this, but so this is one, we have only one state. We'll have to do hovers and everything, of course, all the other states and variants, but for now, let's just see if we can log out and we'll tidy it up later. So now we have a menu item. We're also going to need a component called menu, right? Let's see. The menu itself. And let's create the docs for that. What does that look like? The menu itself. Well, we're going to need a previous menu item at least, so I can, another way is to just copy the master. If I go here and paste it, I'll get an instance. Okay, so this is now the menu item. We're going to have to wrap this in a component too. You can either use this button or the create component. Right, so now it's called menu item, still inside menu item, so we have to rename this. So this is our component. It's taken the same name, which is confusing, obviously. This is the menu component. Now the menu is the wrapper, the container for menu items. Now let's add another one in there because we're going to want more than one. And this menu has now two options. For example, we've got auto layout, but it's going the wrong way. We want them to go down, right? And this is where we will control the content for the menu. And we'll do that when we get to needing it. Now we have a menu component, so we can now copy this, for example, go back to our prototype, and we're going to add And here we have the menu, and because this is an instance, it's a particular instance, this is the account menu, so I'm going to call it menu.account, and it's going to have two items in. It's going to have menu item profile, and this is just my way of working. It isn't a standard practice. Menu item.logout. So I have menu item profile, menu item logout. That's all I'm going to add. So let's update these. Profile, and let's set this logout. Okay, so I've got two options now. Now, there's a few things we'll need to fix here, but I'd like to get the prototype working in this video. So let's blast through and we'll fix the styling a little later. Let's just make sure that when these all extend to the end, right? So we're going to have to go to our parent here. Always remember we have to go to the main component to make changes to all of the items. So inside here, these menu items, I want to make sure they always fill the container. So that's how we can fix that. The other option we have here is, do we want icons or not? And we can control that via our menu item. If I go here, and I'm just going to drill in and add the left icon. So then if I return to my instance, you'll see all of the menu items now have the icon because I've set that to default basically on the menu item. And even if you went to the instance, we would now have that. So if we go to our prototype, they've got the icons here now, and that's all how we can set a default, and that way we can switch them on and off globally if we want to by setting that menu item default component. So log out, I'm going to, in this instance, I don't want this. I'm going to want, is there an exit icon? I'm not sure. Log out's perfect. And profile, we will use another user type icon. Let's try this one this time. Actually, there was one inside a card, which was good. That one I'll do for now. Might change that later. Now we have two. Now it doesn't have much style, so I think we should do a minimum style here and add an effect. So we can add an effect here on the fill. So what happens here, if I add an effect and I don't have a fill, it adds a shadow, in this instance, to the content, which we don't want. So I must remove that. So we must have a fill. So we don't have a fill at the moment for our menu, for example, as you can see. So we're going to have to create one. So let's go to our colors. I'm going to create a new color, menu, BG. And let's just make it one of our colors for now, which is grey 90. We're going to have to start adding more soon because we don't want so few options available. Now I'm going to add the fill, and I'm going to choose the correct token, color menu BG, and we're going to move that to white in the future. But now we can also add an effect. If we wanted to add an effect, we can add it here, and we will do that in another video. So now we have our menu, and if we want to round the corners, remember we must do it on the parent, not on the instance. So let's go to the parent here, and in fact we should add this here. This is how oversights happen constantly. Okay, and this one we'll search for our radius, and that will give us the radius. Let's return to the instance. Now this one is now an override, so we'd have to be very careful with that. Okay, and that happens all the time, so it's just going to happen. Simple as that. Now we have our little menu. Okay, so what we want to do now is prototype this a little bit, and we'll come back to fix up the style because I want to keep these videos a little bit around the 10-minute mark. What we want to do is when we click on this, we want to show this, and when we click on logout, we want to go back to the login screen, and that's what we're going to do. So let's get into prototype mode. Let's drill here, and let's drag it to our new menu item. On tap, not navigate to, no, we're going to go to open overlay. Menu account, correct. Centered, no, we're going to do this manual. And that will give us a position, and this is something you would have to decide in your design system where the default position is. We should close when clicking outside. We don't want a background because this is an overlay, and the animation, let's dissolve so it has a nice fade. Okay, And the other thing we're going to have to do is when we click on log out, we want to go back to the login screen. Let me just check that this is good. Navigate to, correct. Login dissolve. Right, that looks good. So we click on this, this will open. Click on that, we'll log out. Let's test it. Click here, it opens. Click on log out, we're out. Okay, so now we can log in and we can log out. All right, let's get on with the next videos and keep building out our app and our design system library. See you there.